Hello and welcome back to another episode of the On the Sideline podcast with Jackson and Kyle. And I am joined here, as always, by the man who would gladly accept $324 million to pitch for just 2 innings in a do-or-die playoff game. Kyle, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm not sure anybody would want me to even last 2 innings in a do-or-die playoff game, but it's been a stressful week for Boston sports fans. I got to say that. A little drained.
Yeah, it's been up and down. Obviously, the Patriots, that create the whole Tom Brady returning stuff. And then let's start the show with this for a minute. Why don't we start the show with baseball? Just for a few minutes. We'll then get into the football. Kyle, your Red Sox will be playing my Tampa Bay Rays. This should be a fun series.
Yeah, and it's like all of a sudden, when we really need them to work out, our bullpen pitches pretty well, or very well in that game. Brazier gave up the big hit, but it's just like the bullpen played pretty well. Nathan Eovaldi was lights out, had one of his best starts of his Red Sox career. Who's the other guys? Xander Bogaerts, who had been basically silent all of September, comes up with the big hits. I think the biggest takeaway from this was that it was a blessing in disguise that JD Martinez was hurt.
Wow, why do you say that?
Because Kyle Schwarber moves into the DH spot. If Kyle Schwarber's at DH, Kike Hernandez isn't in center field to make that play at the plate. It's probably Hunter Renfroe out there and Schwarber in the outfield. And so we're better defensively with Schwarber at DH, and Schwarber's a better hitter than JD Martinez right now. So I think it's a blessing in disguise that he was hurt, because that play probably doesn't happen at the plate, and who knows how the game turns out without Hernandez out there.
Interesting. Also, did you think that home run was out, or that ball was out in both of those two Stanton long singles?
The thing is with the first one is like it seemed like it didn't really hit the wall that high. The camera just played it. The camera played it more terribly than like anything else. The camera was acting like it was going to go into the parking garage across the street.
Right.
And it seemed like it hit like mid high on the wall. Like people were saying that was a home run. I don't know what the numbers were for it, but it seemed like that it didn't seem like it was going to be a home run. It just looked like because I thought the second one was an absolute missile.
Yeah, I think the first one hit off the end of his bat. I think that's why it kind of because that's usually when that happens. That's how it worked. Yeah, I thought they were both gone. I mean, the Yankees commentator calling it a home run throughout. Incredible stuff there. Listen, as a Rays fan, I was just happy one of you guys were going to lose. Now it should be a fun series with us, and I actually have tickets to all 3 of the ALDS games, so I'm hopeful I only have to go to 2 of them, and for a good reason.
Yeah, I mean the Rays are a fantastic team. They're lights out way better right now. They're an incredible baseball team that just does everything really well. And it doesn't matter who's in the lineup, they're going to figure things out. They basically traded their closer and their like star pitcher at one point and got even better. So it's just like, there's not really any weakness to this team at all. So I think it's going to be a really interesting series. We just basically got to hit the ball hard. And then, yeah, I mean, I do think this is the one thing I've noticed, especially about myself, and I think a lot of Boston sports fans think this way, is that it doesn't matter what the state of sports are in the world. Like the Patriots could be winning Super Bowls for, 6 Super Bowls in 20 years. The Celtics could be title contenders. The Bruins can be Stanley Cup contenders. Nothing will beat the satisfaction of the Red Sox beating the Yankees. Baseball could be absolutely dead, and we'll still be talking about the Red Sox beating the Yankees this century. So I think that's still, there's a lot of talk about all this different thing in baseball dying. That's the best rivalry in sports still, just because of the hatred.
Yeah, I agree. And the Yankees stink. I mean, the Yankees are not a good. They were lucky to be here.
Yeah, a lousy $1 billion franchise. So that's okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for obliging everyone in the chat with us talking some baseball. Also, yeah, at a new time today. This is not going to be the normal time. We will go back to 9. Just we had to, for scheduling reasons, had to do it a little bit earlier. But Kyle, news broke today. News involving your team. Talking about stressful stuff for, we're back to the football now. Stephon Gilmore, a Carolina Panther. How are you feeling?
It's kind of a bummer. I was hoping he'd really kind of, the thing is our corners weren't really that bad. They were posting some numbers on it. I think like Jalen Mills had like a 78 passer rating on balls targeted towards him, and that was like the highest on the team as far as corners go. So our corners have been good. But, there's a difference between good and Gilmore. And we were
Right.
hoping a healthy Gilmore would come into the second half of the season, really elevate this defense even further, take it to another level. And it's just kind of a bummer that it went down this way. Like, I don't know. Like, they they said they didn't want to trade him all off season. You can't find a suitable trade during the summer. And then all of a sudden he's on the PUP list and you're just cutting your losses at this point. It seemed like a very odd set of circumstances that led to this. And then, of course, they announced it early to get some sort of basically return. And then they settled for a sixth round pick in basically, 2 years for Gilmore.
Mm-hmm.
It's obviously not what you want. It felt like that if this was how it was going to play out, I think they trade him. If they knew this was how it would play out, they would have traded him in June.
Yeah, I mean, they basically they basically get nothing. I mean, a sixth round pick, not even this year, not good. Very bizarre move. The first aspect, let's talk about it from New England's side. This just has to be a mistake by New England, right? I mean, you have, even with the age, even with the, injury concern, whatever, this is clearly horrible value for a guy who won Defensive Player of the Year 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think it is too, because it's obviously the move was to clear up cap space, because I think it's saving them $6 million, $7 million basically.
$5 million.
$5 million. Okay, so they're saving a little bit off the tax, and they're bringing in. It sounds like sometime this week, Jamie Collins is going to come back. So, it is a bad move though, because it's like at that point you might as well just keep Gilmore and ride it out.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously they felt like, I don't know if this was like partially doing him a service too or something like that. I don't know how it ended up going down. It is frustrating because, I mean, honestly, I kept thinking about this. He's easily one of the 10 most talented players ever to go through the Belichick era. And that's saying something,
Mm-hmm.
because if you look at even just the defensive side of the ball, you're looking at Ty Law, you're looking at Darrell Revis, you're looking at Gilmore, all the 24s. You're looking at Richard Seymour, you're looking at, Willie McGinnis, you're looking at Rodney Harrison, you're looking at Teddy Bruschi. Like, he's up in that upper echelon of defender, Chandler Jones too.
Mm-hmm.
He's in that upper echelon of defender of this era of 20 years. And it's crazy that, he's basically gone for a sixth rounder.
Yeah, I agree. The flip side is great move for Carolina. I mean, there's virtually no way this can go poorly for them. They don't even have to restructure any deals to make the cap work. So great move for them. And the flip side is, how the hell did no other team do better than this offer? Low Bellow in the chat talking about how the Bucs wouldn't match the sixth round pick and let him go to a division rival. Tampa Bay seems like they could have done it. Green Bay, I don't know what they're doing. I was looking down the list and I'm like, there's a dozen teams that should make this work. I think the Packers is maybe the most surprising. The corner is still a position of need, even though, Eric Stokes has looked good. He's still a rookie corner who's being forced to be a number 2 corner. Make him a number 3. You look way better now. How are you not at least giving up a fifth here? Why did no other team take this chance?
Well, and it sounded like immediately from the reports, it was that Tampa Bay and Green Bay are basically lining up to get him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting to see how that goes down, because I don't understand sometimes the NFL contract values and trade value stuff, because it's honestly like Green Bay, the only thing that seems to get actual value anymore is teams trading their top 5 pick a month before the draft. Unless you're trading that, you're probably getting lower value than what the player is actually worth. Obviously things lurk out, trading your 23rd pick for Justin Jefferson. But if that's Jalen Reagor, that's all of a sudden looks like a terrible pick. 23rd pick for Stephon Diggs, excuse me. So, yeah, I mean, it's just I don't feel like anything actually has any trade value anymore. I don't get necessarily how some of this stuff works, and that just because he's injured, it's all of a sudden it's oh, well, he has no value. I think there's a ton of value in getting Gilmore for weeks 8 through 17.
Yeah, because that's some people are there's some confusion in the chat. I think people saying Green Bay did not have the cap space to take on his contract for the season, or Gilmore wanted 15 million. The Panthers were the only playoff team that were willing to do that with the cap. So 2 things. One, they don't have to pay him the whole contract that he's worth currently, because New England's paying for most of that. The $5 million that we talk about New England saving, that's the only amount that you're paying for Carolina. So they're just paying $5 million for Gilmore, unless there's a restructure in there, which there might be. Sometimes they do that, but at least on paper, as of what the information we know now, Carolina is just paying $5 million. maybe Gilmore will hold out for a bigger contract. But there was a report saying he wasn't going to do that. So even if you only get him for the 1 year, $5 million for, like you said, half a season of Gilmore, that's pretty good value, especially when it's the second half and including the playoffs.
Yeah, a playoff run for Gilmore is almost worth $5 million if you get him at full strength. So
Yeah.
it seems like a crazy deal, and it seems like that there could have been more suitors, but I guess just not. Good move from the Panthers. We were going from literally a week ago saying, "Hey, that's a sneaky good move from Carolina, taking a chance on C.J. Henderson, only giving up Dan Arnold, and then they give
Right.
up Les for Stephon Gilmore." It's crazy.
Yeah, so good for them. So yeah, a great move for the Panthers. Questionable move for teams like Tampa Bay and Green Bay. And again, Tampa Bay, you can at least make the argument. Well, like they're paying $240 million with the cap being $180 million already. They're already putting a lot of the bill further. I wouldn't agree with it, but you could at least make that argument. Green Bay could have just taken him on this contract. I don't get it, but that's just me. Let's move on. We got a game to talk about before we can finally get into the preview. The Chargers are looking good, Kyle.
Chargers are looking very good. They kind of, I don't know how much the delay or anything like that played into this game. It looked like they kind of jumped the Raiders, right? Like they kind of just got after them. The Raiders really couldn't get anything sustained in the first half, particularly running the ball. Running the ball the whole game, but in the first half, it just seemed like nothing was really working. And it was really just a detriment to this offense. And the Chargers kind of just beat them up a little bit, it seemed like. Austin Eckler had a fantastic game, I thought. Justin Herbert, I thought, had a really good game. He missed a couple of throws, especially like there was a Mike Williams one that could have been a touchdown, and he just missed it. But, I mean, yeah, the Chargers are a legit team. They looked really good.
Yeah, and again, if you can't run the ball against this defense, you're going to have trouble because basically the way you beat that defense is with running the football. And this Raiders offensive line has not looked good through 4 weeks. That's a real issue that they have. The receiving core and Derek Carr look like I feel fine about them, and they were able to get some deep shots against the defense, but they weren't able to get the running game going, and then they stuck with it. And there was that they had back-to-back drives where on one drive they ran the ball twice, created a 3rd and 7. Carr doesn't convert, and then they ran the ball 3 straight times, and Carr never gets the ball. You punt the ball away. It's like you just wasted 2 possessions right there where Carr basically couldn't do anything. He's your best player, so that was just tough. But it's set up by the Chargers defense being very good.
Yeah, how'd you think this defense went up against this Raiders offense? Because I thought that was the interesting matchup. Obviously, the numbers look good, but the Raiders, I thought, kind of started to figure out things in the second half a little bit. But like you said, it really kind of comes down to this offensive line has to be better for this team to win games, because if they're going to get 2 yards a carry or whatever it is, they're just not going to win games against this team.
Yeah, especially against a Brandon Staley defense with playing quarters coverage. You got to be able to run the ball against that. I think so, and I think that for the Raiders, they got a couple deep shots. Sort of what we saw Arizona do against the Rams. I wonder if John Gruden added a play or two into the playbook after seeing that, of how you can kind of scheme up these deep shots by sending multiple players down the field that can kind of trick the quarters coverage, which can work. He got it a couple times to work, but as a whole, you got a couple deep shots, but they didn't get enough of them, and they didn't get consistent enough of the middling stuff to really get too much going.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Henry Ruggs is a real weapon for this team. He had the big 50-yard catch, and he had another 50-yard pass interference play. So, I think he's been a huge part of it. I thought Waller, despite, some frustrations early in the game, I thought he had a pretty good game. How'd you like his taunting call in that second quarter?
I mean, this is what we said was going to happen, right? Like, I'm not surprised. People are saying this isn't what the rule was for. Literally, what I said in that initial video when I talked about this was, or maybe it was the podcast, I don't remember, was there's never been a rule like this get enforced correctly. There's always been these issues. It's what's going to happen. It's the most predictable thing in the world. I'm not even mad about it because I got mad about it a month ago.
Well, the thing that was so weird for me watching this game was he had that catch on the sideline. He gets up and spikes the ball because he's excited. They call him for taunting. Later in the game, the Raiders go down the field. He catches the ball and is tackled at the 3-yard line. He jumps up and spikes the ball again, and they don't call it. And I'm just like, so what exactly is taunting at this point? And like you said, I mean, obviously they didn't want to take him out of the, inside the 5-yard line with the call. But then why even have the penalty at all in that case? It's just so weird how that how that all works. I still thought the Raiders did some things pretty good here. I thought the
Yeah.
defensive line was actually pretty good in this game.
Mhm.
But for the most part, it just seemed like the Chargers were chipping away at them.
Yeah, the Chargers. I mean, the Chargers. Also, the Hunter Renfro sort of. I mean, for one thing, the Raiders having 10 players on a punt coverage with no gun, with only one gunner. That's not what you want to do. You want to make sure you
No.
have 11 guys out there. But also great recognition from Renfro to save the day there.
Yeah. No, I thought it was a fantastic play that he came up and delivered the big hit and hit it on the ball. So it was just, perfect play all around in really weird situation.
Yeah, he also could have called a timeout because he saw it beforehand, so he could have just called a timeout and they would have been fine. But that was more fun.
Yeah, just let it happen if you're going to be able to do that.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, let's move on to now the actual what we're here for. Took us a little bit longer, but we had some stuff to go over before getting here. Kyle, you're continuing your lead. This looks like you've extended your lead. You actually haven't. I forgot to include. I made a mistake. A math error last week. So I said you were up 2. You were actually up 4. So I chipped away a little bit, but you're still a comfortable 3-point lead here.
Yeah, I think lesson is don't bet the Lions. That's definitely for sure. So
Yeah.
that is something I'm not doing again. But still feel pretty good. Got a slim lead here, and I think I'm going to extend it this week.
Okay, confident Kyle, despite locking up the Lions last week. Hey, every now and then though, you just gotta lock up. How many opportunities were you going to get to lock up the Lions and believe for those few days?
Yeah, I mean, I'm tripling down on my man Dan Campbell, so I had to back him up there.
Okay. Again, so confused why everyone's convinced the Lions are so great, but we can talk about that in a second. I'm going to give you a game to start things off because I am currently trailing. I'm going to give you game of the week, one we're all looking forward to. Jets at Falcons. I believe this is the London game, if I remember correctly.
It is.
Yes. Kyle, who do you think is going to take the long flight home victorious?
This was pretty high on my list, but not quite the first game, just because a couple other games I had above it. I'm just by default just going to take the Falcons. I'm never taking the Jets, unless they're playing like 2 teams. Yeah, I mean, I'm taking the Falcons. I don't feel comfortable about it. I don't like it at all, but I still feel like they're the better team. So, yeah, I mean, that's basically all I got for this game. They're the better team. The Cordarrelle Patterson stuff has been really interesting. I wonder. I continue to say this, but the way that James White I thought got open on a few occasions against the Jets. I wonder if like Patterson can have a big game in this one. And yeah, I mean, I still think the Falcons are going to be able to run the ball with Davis as well and make some plays.
Yeah, this is kind of just a game I didn't want to pick because I do feel like, okay, hey, maybe that they have found something with Zach Wilson. I'm like, hey, let's have him just sort of try to make stuff happen at this point. And the Falcons defense, not exactly a spectacular defense, so he could potentially do that. So that's kind of the weirdness of it. We don't have to spend forever on this game. It's interesting because Zach Wilson is there. I think that's why I'm still going to be tuning in. Thank God that happened because if like Zach Wilson wasn't playing this game, it'd be just the worst London game ever.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that there's just so much things going against the Jets here. I'm never going to bet the Jets to win 2 in a row. I'm never going to think the Jets are going to win 2 in a row.
Or 1 in a row.
Yeah, exactly. So it's hard to believe that they're going to win this game. That being said, I still think there's some pretty good things with the Jets. I think that, they have a pretty nice defensive line with Quinnen Williams and John Franklin Myers. Marcus May is obviously Marcus May. He's very good. And, Zach Wilson's slowly beginning to figure stuff out and coming along as a rookie quarterback should. So maybe there's some things to the Jets here going forward.
Yeah, didn't Marcus May get hurt, or am I remembering wrong?
He was out last week. I don't. Is he back this week? I couldn't remember.
I don't know. Maybe someone in the chat can let us know. But yeah, any final thoughts on this, or want to just move on?
We can move on. Because we're gonna go to the game nobody is excited to watch. This is a interesting game. I didn't know. This is another one like you. I didn't want to pick. So Broncos at Steelers. Who do you got in this one?
Wow, I'm surprised that you're so again. So I was shocked by this line. I almost locked up the Broncos, but I'm so confused by the fact that the Steelers are favorites that I just feel like I can't do it. The Broncos should kill the Steelers, right? The Steelers suck. The Broncos are at least a decent team. I feel like the Steelers have been horrible since we've seen them, other than weirdly beating the Bills, but that was kind of fluky. I feel like Broncos should be heavy favorites in this. What am I missing? Why are you picking this number 2?
Well, so Teddy Bridgewater might not play. He had a concussion last week, and that's
true.
why he was out. So Drew Lock is in, and I think people are just still scared to put the Steelers defense as a home underdog, and that's probably why the Steelers are -1 here. So yeah, I think that's why. That's probably why. And if this is Drew Lock, I might lean Steelers, but this is another one. Like I said, I think I ended up riding the Broncos just because, but at the same time, I'm not confident in it. I didn't like what I saw to the Broncos last week at all.
I guess, but I mean, the way that the Broncos got beat, like with their defense, right, was all of these, kind of what we're talking about. We're play quarters coverage, send several receivers deep, kind of split things up. Are we really expecting Big Ben to be able to chuck the ball down the field and do this deep passing attack? I don't know if I trust Big Ben to show up to the game on time at this point, Kyle.
Yeah, that's fair. So if Drew Lock plays, though, how do you feel about this pick?
Not great, and that's kind of that's what actually took me away from, ironically, the lock of the week was the Drew Lock of it all. But I think so. Here we go. Super chat. If Drew plays, Shermer needs to call a game that keeps the ball out of his hands. Essentially, I guess the flip side for me is I still think I like this Broncos defense better than the Steelers defense, because the Steelers defense has not been covering well after that week 1. And even in week 1, there was some open stuff that, was missed by Josh Allen. And the Broncos, or I guess I get it, Broncos didn't cover particularly well last week, but I still kind of trust them more. And the flip side is, even with Drew Lock in, I think that I like the Broncos offense better than the Steelers offense. So I like them better on both sides of the ball.
It's an interesting game. I think, man, I don't know. Like, Harris and Williams are both pretty exciting. And I don't think they're running behind awesome offensive lines, so I think that adds to it. But, I think that, both of these teams have a couple receivers. My Tim Patrick versus Deontay Johnson is going to be fun.
Right. But 2 guys.
I don't know. I think that it's I don't know. I don't think there's a lot of people really excited to watch this game. I think it's 2 kind of average to mediocre teams. Like, if I think the Broncos are going to be better, but I don't know how good they're going to be right now.
Yeah, I think if Teddy plays, I feel really good about the Broncos winning this game, because the Broncos have shown that they can be a competent and pretty good. I mean, they blew out some bad teams. When I did my power rankings thing, of not predicting, but just talking about where every team is at, which is going to be released later today, the Steelers were 32nd on that list. The Steelers have not been good through 4 weeks.
Yeah, they've been. It's been a rough season for them. Can't say I feel too bad.
No. All right. Well, and Kyle's saying that as a Patriots fan. We can move on. I will give you a game. Geez, we started off with some clunkers to talk about this show, Kyle. We're 24 minutes in and have not really talked about a great game. This one's interesting, I think. I'm going to give you Eagles at Panthers. Another game I don't really want to pick. Where are you going here?
I am going to pick the Panthers. Simply because I think we're starting to see who the real Eagles defense is, and it's not great. It's not great. I don't think they're going to cover very well. I don't think they're going to handle DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson very well. I think the Panthers can actually attack this team, and I think that's going to be enough to win this game. And if Jalen Hurts, I think he's been fantastic this season. I think if he turns the ball over once or twice, I think it's an easy Panthers win. But I think that the Panthers are going to be able to score a lot of points in this game, and that's why they win it.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think that the Panthers offense should be able to do very well in this one. I do think that I don't know if this is a hot take or not. I like Jalen Hurts better than Sam Darnold. I think that I trust Hurts more than I trust Sam Darnold. And I trust the Eagles offense to actually I could see them putting up some points against the Panthers defense. Everyone's going crazy over the Panthers defense. They got smoked last week by the Cowboys. And the question is, how much of that is because Dallas is really good? How much of that is because the Panthers defense maybe had a couple easy matchups to start the season? I just don't know. So that's that's interesting. And so maybe we'll get to learn more seeing them play the Eagles. So that's kind of that wild card aspect is why I picked this so early. But I think you are right. Like, the flip side is, well, unless Darnold just turned the ball over multiple times, which he has done, but if he doesn't do that, then probably the Panthers could put up 30 plus points, and that should be enough.
Yeah, I'm still willing to give this Panthers defense another shot. Even with that
Mhm.
bad game against Dallas, they're number 4 in defensive DVOA right now. And I think that they're going to be, I still think that they're a solid defense. I don't think they're number 4 in the league. So I
Mhm.
think they're going to be all right. And I think they're going to be able to move the ball. Just, I think, I think I agree with you that I think Hurts is better than Darnold, but I think Darnold's weapons are better than Hurts's weapons. And that's what's going to help the Panthers in this game.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I also should say about the Panthers defense, it's not that I think that they're going to be bad or anything. I just want to see more. It's a bit of a wild card to me this early on in the season.
Yeah.
You have any final thoughts about this one?
No, I think we just about covered all of this. I think this is going to be a fun game, though. I'm with you. I had this one third on my list, so it was up there as well.
Yeah, it should be interesting. All right, time for you to give me a game.
All right, let's just go. Let's quit messing around here. I,
Okay.
I'm going to send you to the. Let's do the marquee game, the one everyone wants to talk about. That's Bills at Kansas City. Where are you going with this one?
Yeah, these are two. I think there's two really good games that we're going to talk about the next two games. This is an interesting one. Um, Chiefs 2-2. Could they fall to 2-3 playing the Buffalo Bills, who lost to Kansas City multiple times last year, including one in the game that decided who would represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. I think I got to pick Kansas City here. And my logic behind this is, on one hand, I was starting to talk myself into the Buffalo Bills. Earlier today, I was thinking about this game and thinking, well, hey, you got Josh Allen. This offense is very good, and their secondary has been incredible. The flip side is no one can cover Tyreek Hill. He's the most uncoverable player. Like I made a video that has not been posted yet about Hill, where I sort of talked about part of kind of why I've said in the past that I like DeAndre Hopkins better than Hill is that DeAndre Hopkins is always open. Even when he's covered, you can just throw it up and he'll catch it. Well, Tyreek Hill is always open because he's literally always open. There's literally never anyone on him. Like it's ridiculous. This is a real test for the Bills defense. And kind of what I go back to is Josh Allen has not had great days against this Chiefs defense, even good Josh Allen. This has been a bad matchup for Buffalo. And like what you said with the Ravens of you're not going to say that the Ravens can beat the Chiefs until you see it. Well, they did. But I'm not going to, I'm kind of using the same logic though. I'm not going to pick Buffalo to beat Kansas City until I've seen Buffalo beat Kansas City. But I think they can beat Kansas City. This is a really good game.
Yeah, I think I'm going. I think if I had to pick this game, I was actually going to pick Buffalo.
Okay.
And I was just kind of thinking, along the same vein of what you're saying, that like as I picked this team to win the Super Bowl in the offseason, I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like, okay, if this team's going to prove itself as a Super Bowl winner contender, then I feel like it kind of has to compete in this game. It can't look bad. At the very least, they have to compete, if not win. So I think that they're going to really like. I think they're putting a lot of eggs into this game, and the numbers on the Bills right now are pretty absurd. So I know that who this goes with the asterisk above all asterisks because who you play matters, and they haven't played exactly good offenses.
Mm-hmm.
But it's almost like Bonds taking steroids, where the number's so absurd it like almost just doesn't matter that it's like cheating almost. The Bills' defensive DVOA right now, typically the best defensive DVOA in the league's around minus 25%, and currently number 2 in the league's minus 18%. That's the New Orleans Saints. The Bills have a minus 49% defensive DVOA right now through 4
Okay.
games. They have been absolutely insane on the defensive end. Now, granted, I know it's against the Dolphins with Jacoby Brissett and the Texans with Davis Mills, but the numbers have been really good. They're pointing to this team being a lot better. The defensive line has been a lot better this season compared to last season. The coverage has got back to its normal self. I think this team is good defensively, and I think they're going to give I don't know if they're going to give KC that much problems because it's Kansas City's offense. But on the other side, I think I've just kind of lost faith in Kansas City's defense. I know this is kind of their MO that they figure it out as the season goes along. But what have we seen from this team that we think they can actually figure things out? It seems like that the Chiefs can like almost never put a team away. Even in that Eagles game Sunday, it's like the Eagles are still around because they're going to score 14 points in a heartbeat against this team.
Yeah, well, I mean, the flip side is that what the Chiefs can have proven they can do well is defend obvious passing situations pretty well, and the Bills have struggled to run the ball against anybody over the years. So that's the kind of the way part of why this matchup doesn't work. And you get a lot of man coverage. there's not a ton of separation, and Allen has struggled to make it work against the Kansas City Chiefs. It maybe it's just a small sample size and he'll be fine, but that's what's holding me back, and that's what's still having me pick Kansas City, especially when it's like you might have to score 30 to win this game. We usually say you don't beat the Chiefs by scoring less than 30, and I think this could be an example of that.
It could be that sort of situation, and I think like you said, it's going to be the man coverage situation that I'm really interested in seeing, because if they're going to line up in man, I think that adding Emmanuel Sanders to this team has been really impressive. And now the three options he has in the passing game, I think, is going to be big. I think they're starting to run the ball a little more compared to what they did in week 1, where they wanted to throw on that Steelers defense, which made sense because their secondary is their weakest part. So, yeah, I think that they're going to be pretty good in this game. So I think I'm going to lean Bills, but I don't feel good about this side either way.
Yeah. It's a tough game. I think to me there were 5 games that I'm like, geez, that looked, or there were 4 games for me that I thought looked tough to pick, and 3 of them already taken. I'll give you the 4th now. I'm going to give you Browns at Chargers. There's no line. It's a pick 'em. Where are you going here?
I almost locked up the Browns for this one. I decided not to do it just because of the Baker Mayfield stuff I saw last week was unconvincing.
Mm-hmm.
I think, that's kind of the life of Baker Mayfield. He's probably going to be better this week. I'm picking the Browns, though, just because this defense has been so impressive. The last 2 weeks, I think this has been one of the most impressive defenses I've seen out there. The way they can cover, how fast they are, the way they fly to the ball. They defend the run well. They defend the pass well. They pass rush well. I mean, there's just not a lot of things that this team doesn't do well on defense, and it's really starting to come into its own. And I think that they can kind of just lean on their running game. And as you were saying with this Brandon Staley defense, it kind of forces you to run the football because they keep safeties deep. That's exactly what the Browns want to do. They got 2 running backs who can run the ball really well and might be the two 10 best running backs in football. And I think they're going to lean on that and just kind of, milk this clock, get a few touchdowns, and then the defense is going to take over.
Yeah, it's Kyle, I have breaking news right here, not relevant to this game. Ian Rappaport tweeting out, the Packers are, in fact, the likely landing spot for former Cowboys Pro Bowler Jalen Smith. They are finalizing deals. So there you go.
All right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. I wonder if, Smith, I thought, had some better moments this season compared to the last year, especially. But I still think he kind of needs a season revitalization.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about that a little bit more once we get to the Packers game. Maybe we'll do that. But the breaking news there. So yeah, about the Browns and the Chargers. Both these defenses have looked very good, but I think that I trust Kevin Stefanski to figure out ways to attack this Chargers defense. I think we've seen enough tape now of teams having success against this quarters coverage. I think they'll be fine. And again, we talk about how this coverage kind of allows you to run the football well. Well, the Browns run the football well, so they should be okay. But you're absolutely right. It's that Baker Mayfield thing of, I guess there was maybe a shoulder injury from what I read. That might be that has to be a factor because he missed a dozen throws in that game. I mean, that's not an exaggeration. There was a dozen throws that he just missed accuracy wise. So that had to have been a factor in that. But then the concern is, well, what if he's hurt still? So that's kind of where the issue is. And the flip side is like, hey, sure, the Browns defense has been incredible. Chargers still have Justin Herbert. You have Justin Herbert. You have a great quarterback. You have a chance. But I agree. Browns are, I think, the correct pick here.
Yeah, I just think what they did to that Minnesota defense, which I still think is really good, was pretty impressive. And then, yeah, I mean, the running back stuff has just been sensational. Like, they're actually – I was looking at the stuff for, just the teams in the backfields overall. Kareem Hunt is getting 54% of the snaps. He's playing more than Nick Chubb right now, even though he's getting less carries. And they're doing so much different stuff with them. Kareem in the passing game, out of those screen passes, they both make a bunch of people miss and break a bunch of tackles. I mean, these two are just insane. I just think that if you're going to dare this team to run the ball right now, I think that's a mistake. I wonder if Brandon Staley changes it up for this game.
Yeah, that's interesting. But again, the question is, if you do change stuff up, well, now guys are in positions that they're not used to being in, so that struggles in its own right. So should be interesting, should be fun. Want to move on?
Yeah, we can move on here. I will give you this next game. I will go Saints at balls. We can go that one.
Okay. I'm locking up the Saints here. I just can't have faith in a team that still doesn't have a name. I just can't go with the balls in this situation. The Saints, I know that they just lost to the Giants, so that wasn't good. I still think that they're a much better team. Washington's just been so disappointing this season. They've been the biggest disappointment of the season, in my opinion. I think I just got to go New Orleans here. I trust Jameis Winston to do well against a coverage unit that can't cover. Like, Winston's historically tore apart defenses like Washington that kind of play one coverage and don't do it that well. These are the games that he's gone off and had these incredible days. The flip side is, like, I know Daniel Jones just did really good against that Saints defense, but you do kind of have to, I think his running ability really helped a lot with that. Yeah, Taylor Heineke, he can do that, but I think the Saints have to be the favorite in this one. So only a 1-point spread they have to cover. I'm locking up New Orleans.
Yeah, I think I would lean Saints here too, even though I don't think, I think that Washington can win this game. I think they're still decent enough to win this. I think that this might be a get-right game for the Saints, though, just because, that was a bad loss, I thought, last week. I think that the defense is going to play better this week. And, yeah, I mean, you're right that Jameis could attack this defense and kind of go at them. But the thing is how much – I think the question I have is how much is Sean Payton willing to let Jameis go at them? Because it's been very clear to me that he doesn't want to really let Jameis do a whole lot. He's not letting Jameis cook for stealing that from Russell Wilson, but he's not letting him cook at all, and that's probably a good thing over just because of what his track record is. That being said, even if they're not going to let him throw the ball downfield, do you trust these Washington linebackers against Alvin Kamara? That seems like a disaster.
Right. That doesn't seem great. I mean, the Saints should put up points in this one. Like, if the Saints don't, then just they're done. If the Saints lose, they're done. They're out of it. I think they're still there's a weird Jekyll and Hyde type team. The New Orleans Saints are.
Yeah, they definitely are, and it really has been. They've looked bad 2 weeks, and they've looked good on the odd weeks. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. Or actually, no, I have it wrong. Sorry. They've looked good on the odd weeks and looked bad on the even weeks. So, so it'll definitely be interesting. I think, like I said, I think the one thing is I could just see Kamara going for 1 billion total yards. They didn't use him in the passing game at all last week. I think he's going to be very used a lot in the passing game this week.
Yeah, and hey, two guys who know each other well, right? Ron Rivera, Sean Payton, because of all those years when Rivera was in Carolina. So that should be interesting.
Yeah, definitely an interesting matchup, and I think it's going to be an interesting game. I think that once again, this is another week where I feel like we can learn a little bit more about these two teams.
Yeah, I think the Saints, it'll be week 10, and we still have no clue who they are.
That's probably true. They'll be they're definitely going to be like that team who's 8-7 by the end of the season. It's like, is this team good?
Yeah, exactly. Also, we should mention Washington is 2-2. Like, they're not it's not like there's some like 0-4. Like, there's some talent here.
I don't think it's a bad team. I think it's just lower than what our expectations were, because we both felt like this team was going to win the East.
Yeah,
and I definitely don't feel that way right now.
Yeah, I agree. And part of that is just Dallas looks better as well. But let's move on. Unless you had any other thoughts you want to say about that one.
No, I think we're good on that one. We can move on.
All right, let's go. I'm going to give you a game. I'm going to give you Rams-Seahawks division matchup. Where are you going with this one?
I am going to take the Rams. I'm not going to lock it up. I thought about it. I thought about locking it up.
You were there.
I just think playing in Seattle, I'm just going to avoid, and being an NFC West game, I'm just going to avoid the lock. But I do feel pretty good about the Rams being able to win this game. I think they're going to be able to throw the ball in Seattle. I think it's going to be another sort of one of those get-right games after, a pretty average for their standards game against the Cardinals where some weird stuff happened. They don't want to turn the ball over like that. So, yeah, I mean, I think they're going to win this game. I mean, you don't want to run on Seattle's defense, and the Rams don't really want to run. So I don't really think that they're going to worry about having to give Sony Michel too many touches in this game. I think they win this game pretty easy.
Yeah, I think I agree. I trust Sean McVay against the Seahawks defense. He's tended to do a pretty good job against them, if my memory serves me correctly. The Rams defense didn't have its best day, and maybe you could see Seattle taking advantage of how we saw Arizona take advantage of it, but I just don't know if they're going to do it as much. We haven't seen Seattle be the kind of team that changes their game plan week to week too much. They kind of just do what they do, and I think that favors the Rams. So I agree. Rams are probably the favorites right here. Although, again, Russell Wilson, you have a chance.
Yeah, absolutely. With Russell Wilson, obviously, I think the playmakers just haven't looked very inspiring for Seattle. Tyler Lockett had a really good start to the year, but he's not playing, right? He's out. I didn't see what the official stuff was, but I know the injury looked pretty nasty.
I'm not sure. Maybe in the chat, put him on the spot. Chat, let us know what the issue is. The deal is with Tyler Lockett. But yeah, I mean that's obviously a fact. I do believe you are correct. At least he has missed some time. So that's an issue. And then again, the Seahawks. I mean, the Seahawks gave up like that 76-yard touchdown to Deebo Samuel. I broke it down in an upcoming video about Trey Lance coming up soon, which is basically just Jamal Adams, just like he was playing the flat and just completely. There was two San Francisco players. He passes off both of them essentially, and there's only one guy behind him. It's like, what do you think's happening right here? Gives up a huge touchdown. So it's like they need to cut that stuff out. And this is the Rams team that can absolutely take advantage of that stuff.
Yeah, there's just so many playmakers. By the way, it looks like Tyler Lock. I think I had the weeks mixed up that it was 2 weeks ago that the injury happened. So I think he's okay. But there has been situations where him and DK are kind of playing through injuries already this season. So that's probably adding a little bit to the offense. But yeah, I mean, I think this defense is average at best, and I think that the Rams have too many playmakers for them.
Yeah, I think I agree. Ready to move on?
Yeah, we can go to our next game. I am going to give you, as our picks start to dwindle down here a little bit, I'll go 49ers Cardinals.
Okay, yeah, I had only one game ahead of this one. I am going Arizona here. I'm interested in seeing with the whole quarterback situation. I'm not even sure if it's been announced who's playing quarterback for San Francisco, but I liked what I saw from Trey Lance last week. So there is that aspect. I don't think Garoppolo is horrible either, but I just think the Arizona Cardinals are too good right now. I just think that the way that this passing attack is working, it's just been incredible, and I think that it's really difficult to stop this kind of Cardinals air passing attack. So I like Arizona. I think the one way that I could see San Francisco making things interesting is the way that they can run the ball, historically very well. That's maybe the one way you beat this Arizona team, especially if you can limit some possessions a little bit. And maybe you get a turnover or two from Kyler. But I do think that Arizona is the favorite to win. But there is upset potential here.
There is upset potential. Like I said, the NFC East can be weird, or NFC West can be weird. And these, the 49ers still aren't a bad team. I think the one thing I'm worried about with the 49ers is I don't think the secondaries look too good lately. And I know it was against Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, but clearly Kyler Murray isn't that much further below them. So, I think that Arizona's passing game is going to be able to move the ball on them. I think that the 49ers, right now it's basically if Jimmy G is healthy, he's going to play, but they're not sure if he's going to be healthy. So I think that whoever's the quarterback, I think that they might have some success, but I still think that Arizona's going to be able to create some turnovers. It's something they've done really well in this game and made some things happen. So I think I would go Cards too.
Yeah, it's interesting for sure, but again, it's like part of what San Francisco prides themselves on is, hey, they can rush the passer. Well, no one can rush Kyler Murray because he'll just run around you. So like you're there anyway. So that's another aspect.
Yeah. I don't know how much success this defense can be able to have against Arizona, honestly.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I guess we don't have too much to say then. You want to just move on?
Yeah, we can move on from this one. What do you got next?
I'll give you a game. I'm gonna give you. It's the one game that I mean, I feel confident about any of these teams at this point, but I'm going to give you Packers at Bengals. Where are you going here?
I'm going to lock up the Packers. This is the other one I was debating. I think I'm just going to take it because I think the Bengals are good. I don't think the Bengals are this good to have this sort of line.
The line is -3.5 for the Packers for the audio-only listeners.
Yeah, if the Packers are... If they don't look as bad as that Saints game, is this 3.5? Like if it's like a close loss or even they win and they're 4-0, is this a 3.5 point spread? I don't really think so. I think the Packers are a way better team. Their defense has really come along. I think that Stokes and Alexander have quickly become one of the best corner duos in the league, even though they could have added Stephon Gilmore still. It really would have helped. I still think it's a really good corner duo. They have good safeties. I think they're going to be able to do a lot defensively in this game. And I think the offense is still going to be able to move the ball because it has the MVP. I just don't think the MVP should be favored by only 3.5 against the Bengals right now. So yeah, I'm going to take them and lock it up.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's not a bad lock at all. I think, again, we're getting to the point where kind of all these games you feel confident about one team and the 3.5 point spread. I get all of that. I do think that one interesting aspect is the Joe Mixon of it all. And if Cincinnati can run the ball effectively, we've seen, I go back to that Minnesota game where they beat Green Bay last year, where there was 8 possessions on each team and they kind of just ran out the clock and got a couple of turnovers. That's all they had to do to beat the Packers. There's definitely that upset potential, and Cincinnati can do that to teams. And Cincinnati is also, they have the same record as Green Bay right now.
Yeah, and they've done well. I've been impressed with Cincinnati this season. I thought the one thing, though, watching that game Thursday night, and I know it was a short week, there could be some weird stuff there. So I thought Jacksonville in the first half could move the ball pretty well on them. I think Cincinnati adjusted and kind of slowed things down, but I thought at the very least in the first half, Jacksonville was able to get some things going against the Cincinnati defense, which has played well for the majority of the season. So I just think that if Jacksonville can do that for like a half, I think Green Bay is going to be able to do that for a whole game.
Yeah. Another aspect, Jair Alexander does have an injury. We don't know how severe it is. It seems like there's a good chance he could miss this game, though. Does that impact the way you feel about this?
I mean, it's certainly not great. He's one of the, probably 3 or 4 best corners in the league right now. Mm-hmm. But I still feel pretty good about the Packers.
Okay, even with Kevin King, potentially. If Kevin King is on Jamar Chase, you're just giving them a touchdown.
I don't think Green Bay is dumb enough to do that, though.
Green Bay is absolutely dumb enough to do it. Green Bay is definitely dumb enough that they put Kevin King on Scotty Miller last year and with 8 seconds left.
Yeah, I don't see it happening, honestly. I think that they'd have to change things up if that's the case.
I mean, even like Kevin King on Tyler Boyd, that's not great.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, it's definitely not an ideal situation, but like I said, it comes down to, I think, Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers. I trust Aaron Rodgers right now. I think Green Bay's looked really impressive the last 3 games.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I have Green Bay winning as well, but I do think that I can see, since I see I'm sort of talking myself into your lock being wrong is what I'm doing.
Yeah, you're not deterring me. That's all.
Okay, all right. Kyle's staying strong with that. Why don't you give me a game here?
We'll go Bears Raiders, I guess. I'll just go ahead.
All right. So the Bears, led by quarterback 1, Justin Fields, announced today Justin Fields will be the starting quarterback for the Bears. He is quarterback 1, not just for this week, but that's just his role at this point. And it's interesting. I could see there will be some moments where you can try to make stuff happen against this Raiders defense. I think this is a real test for Justin Fields and for the Bears. I do have the Raiders winning. Should say that up front. That's my pick. I think to me, the intrigue is still the rookie quarterbacks, which I find so fascinating. I think this is not. It kind of is Fields' first real test, because the first game was so horrible. It's like we didn't get to see anything from him. The second game, it was too easy. So now we kind of have, still a tough matchup, but at least one where hopefully he maybe might have one receiver open at some point during the game, and we'll see how he reacts to that.
This will be very interesting. I think Justin Fields had a good week, but like you said, it was against the Lions defense, so we'll see how he adjusts. I'm interested to see how this defensive line that they've been able to rotate guys in, and it seems like everyone at one point or another has been performing pretty well for the Raiders. I'm interested to see how they get after him, because I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but it doesn't seem like the Raiders really blitz a lot. And then, that's obviously something that Justin Fields has struggled with basically since at Ohio State. So if they're not going to blitz a lot, can this front 4 get after him and cause some pressure and give us some issues?
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I didn't think about that. Yeah, because that is something that we've seen him, his numbers have gone down this season when he is blitzed. So a team that doesn't blitz him, that could potentially make things easier on him. And that's the case of rookie quarterbacks in general. I could also see some issues, though, with sort of this cover 2 zone, which it's weird because it seems like, like like Aaron Rodgers, for example, has no issue against cover 2 zone. It's the simplest thing in the world. But these rookie quarterbacks, when they're in a zone coverage, whether it's cover 2, cover 3, whatever, they kind of just don't know exactly how big these windows are that they can fit it through yet, right? Because the NFL defensive players just move a lot quicker. And so what's wide open in college might be not open at all in the NFL just due to the talent around them. And that can result in some turnovers. And Fields hasn't really had to go through that too much yet because the Lions basically have a college defense. So having a team that can actually have this, that's interesting. I think he'll actually probably do okay in this. I think he'll be all right. But the flip side is, the Raiders offense, how will this handle a good Chicago Bears defense? So that's another interesting aspect. I think they'll be okay. I think they'll be able to throw the ball well, but they got to be able to get the running game going, especially if Chicago starts playing cover 2, or are they going to be in the same boat they were last week?
I agree. I think that the Raiders have a chance to throw the ball on the Bears defense. The one thing I'm worried about with the Bears is that, there is, Khalil Mack didn't practice Wednesday. He did play last week through an injury, so I think he's going to be fine. And then Akeem Hicks was hurt, I guess, and he's questionable for this week too. So I think that's going to be really interesting to see how that matches up, because I think that was a big part of the Bears defense last year was how much it suffered without Akeem Hicks. If he's able to go, though, I think that's the one thing, because obviously we've seen this Raiders offensive line right now not perform up to expectations. So if Khalil Mack plays in this game and he gets at, going against his former team, if he gets after them and causes problems, that's probably the best case for the Bears. But if he or Hicks are out and they struggle defensively, I think it's because, they're not getting pressure on Carr, and Carr's able to just drop back and throw on these guys.
Yeah, it should be a very interesting game, I think. And this is what I'm definitely keeping my eye on. The Raiders, if you want to be a playoff team, you got to be able to beat the Bears.
Yeah, I agree. You can't waste a 3-0 start by then dropping the next 2 games, especially to a team like this at home.
And also, again, this is the definition of a Raiders loss, right? Where they just get blown out, 47-0.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, it's definitely been their MO the last couple seasons. So,
Right.
like you said, if they want to make it, the AFC is competitive.
Yeah, well, we'll see. This year is a different Raiders team. Let's move on. I'll give you not a lot of great games left, in my opinion. I feel, I think there's a drop off after that one. I'm going to give you just a divisional matchup. I'll give you Giants at Cowboys. Danny Dimes playing good football as of late. Cowboys still are 7.5-point favorites in Dallas. I'm assuming you're picking the Cowboys here.
I am going to take the Cowboys, but I thought about this game a lot, because I think that the Giants' offenses look good, and they've done some nice things, and Saquon's getting better and better, I think, and so that makes me speculate a little bit. That being said, I just think the Cowboys' offense is still too much for a lot of teams in this division, and they're going to be able to move the ball and score a bunch of points. And I don't know if the Giants are going to score enough points to keep up with them. And then, I mean, we have to put this Cowboys defense at the same par of the Dolphins defense, where it's just this team's just going to create a turnover every game, right?
The Cowboys. I mean, just because of Trayvon Diggs. I mean, he's going to get a turnover every game.
Yeah, I just think. He's been a sensational player, and he's going to go up against, I guess, Kenny Golladay, and I think it's going to be really interesting. So, yeah, I think that this is going to be a better game than people think, but I do think the Cowboys are a better team and should win.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about something completely unrelated for a second, because this is what annoys me about discourse in football in the chat right here. All right? Okay, do that, Kyle?
Yeah, go for it.
So Luke Brown, the great Luke Brown, a great commenter, says, I'm not a hater. I didn't say Chase was bad. I just don't think it's as good as people make him out to be. Okay. Don't know what the take is. Fine. Response, Luke, your ignorance of football is showing. Chase is a legit stud. Why do we got to do the personal attacks? Just disagree with each other. Why are we doing this, guys? Come on. We can just say, I disagree and here's why. Right?
Taking shots at the chat board.
Exactly. Let's. I don't know. I feel like this kind of stuff frustrates me. And as someone who does have an audience, I want to try to help people realize, hey, this stuff isn't important. These personal attacks and things like that.
I can agree. I mean, that's definitely a problem a lot with society anyways. But yeah, I just think it's okay to say you're not as high as somebody as everybody else is.
Yeah, exactly. That's just how I feel. Anyways, sorry for derailing the show. We can get back to the Giants at the Cowboys. What were you saying, Kyle?
Cowboys are going to move the ball. I think they're going to get a couple turnovers, and I think they're going to win.
Yeah, I mean, basically, yeah. And I especially think that with the Cowboys offense, I just don't trust this Giants defense to do much. I think the Giants could put up some points, but I just don't think they'll put up enough. You want to move on to another game?
Yeah, we can move on. I don't want to give you that. I guess I'll give you Titans Jags. I don't know why we keep respecting the Titans, but we keep having them this low. It is the Jaguars, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, an element of it is I still think the Titans are good. I think I'm higher on the Titans. I consider locking this up. Part of that is just because the Jaguars are a mess right now. And that's in several different ways. But I think the Titans, like, okay, you lose your top two receivers, you're going to struggle. Like, that's going to happen. I know they lost to the Jets, but also, like, you look at those throws that Jack Wilson was making. It's not like they were bad coverage a lot of times. Like, sometimes, like, you get unlucky and lose to a team that is better, that is not as good as you. That happens sometimes. I think the Titans are good.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to win this game. Obviously, you know, I'd like to see A.J. Brown and or Julio Jones back on the field. We'll see what happens there. I was trying to think of a bunch of jokes to, you know, saying like the Jaguars need to get their heads out of their asses, you know, simplify the game, shove it right up the butt, you know, that kind of thing. I just couldn't find any that would stick enough. So that's pretty much all I thought about the Jaguars was how many Urban Meyer jokes can I fit into this? And I ended up with 0. So
we should probably maybe even talk about that whole situation for a second. I mean, I guess so. If you guys aren't aware, which I don't know how you wouldn't be at this point, there was a video that came out of Urban Meyer. We'll say we'll just use the word dancing with a woman. That's not exactly how that worked, but that's the word we'll use. He's married, so that's not a great look. Although apparently the rumor is his wife is fine with it. So if that's the case, I don't really care. But then there's whole like stuff has come out about, I guess, anonymous teammate said that no one respects Urban Meyer. But to me, this is all like, we're not there. We don't know. It feels like speculation for me. I'm not giving up on Urban Meyer because of this stuff, even though the media is making such a huge deal of it.
I mean,
you can disagree. That's fine.
You know, I don't judge Urban Meyer off of this situation as a football coach. I mean, I don't really know who he is. I don't know anything about him. I've never met him. So it's really hard to make any assumptions like that. But I'm critical of Urban Meyer as a football coach this season, and I think he's done some things wrong. That's pretty much the only thing I feel about it. I mean, if people in the locker room feel some sort of way, that's obviously a different situation if those reports are true, because then obviously that's something he's got to work through. But I don't really feel any way about this situation. I just think he needs to coach better.
Yeah, I think it's possible. And again, this is coming from a guy, you know, with me, that I have no clue anything about Urban Meyer because I'm not a college guy. So basically, this is my first experience. And like, yeah, there's been some issues. And one interesting point I heard is like, okay, well, if he's not an X's and O's guy and he's not doing a great job rallying the locker room, then what is he here for? So I think that's fair and all of that stuff. But I don't like I see people calling him like a bad person and stuff. And again, it's the personal attacks. That's what I don't love. It's like, we just don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely wasn't the most popular guy in college football scene either. You know, I've definitely had some weird thoughts that he doesn't come off as like, you know, someone I really want to, you know, have coaching like college kids. But, you know, at the same time, he wins a lot, and that's what he got going for him. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. He's definitely a dynamic figure, and it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out.
Yeah, it's incredible to watch from afar. It's very interesting.
Certainly, I wish this was like Hard Knocks or something.
Right. Yeah, it's hard something. All right. There you go.
Something was hard at that point.
Yes, that was my joke. Thank you, Kyle, for spelling it out through the chat. Zachary Stewart says, hot take, Cougars have the worst Coach D, in my opinion. Is that who are the Cougars? Is there a joke I'm missing?
I don't know. The girl was younger than him, so she can't be the Cougar.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's what I'm not sure. And again, back to the Jaguars. They're a horrible team. They're going to probably lose to the Titans. And this seems like the exact kind of defense the Titans carve up. So back to football, that'll probably happen.
This has to be a get-right game for Tannehill, right?
Tannehill's been fine. Tannehill played good last week. He had no one to throw to. No, I disagree. I reject this narrative. I think Tannehill has been fine. There was no receivers last week.
I think he's been fine, but for a guy we were saying is a top 7 quarterback, I don't think he's looked like a top 7 quarterback this season at all. And I think that's been the problem. And I think that we saw him as this weapon, and I still kind of see that he can be this weapon, but he hasn't looked like the part of the top 7 quarterback I saw the last couple of years to me.
Yeah, Pro Football Focus currently has Tannehill graded as the second best quarterback in football.
Oh, there you go. Maybe I'm an idiot.
I mean, it's not like, I mean, listen, they also have like Daniel Jones, like the fourth best. So like, it's not like they're completely perfect. I just think he's been fine. I think it's the receivers that are the issue, but that's how I saw it.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I think that, there's just a lot of stink on this team right now after last week.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But then again, could be just a sort of a get right game for them as well. Let's move on. Let's talk. So I give you a game. 4 games left. We have the Lions, Vikings, the Mammals at Buccaneers, the Patriots at Texans, and the one that I'll give you. I'm going to give you Colts at Ravens. Where are you going here?
I am going to pick the Ravens. I'm not picking a team with a bad offensive line in the Colts with a quarterback with 2 sprained ankles against this blitz-heavy Ravens defense. I think they're going to get annihilated there. They're not going to be able to throw the ball a whole lot, and I think they're really going to struggle with it. So I think it's going to be the Ravens.
Yeah, I think the Ravens should win. I mean, the Colts secondary has not been very good. The Ravens have shown their receiving corps have actually played pretty decent. So you have that going for them. Maybe they can slow down Lamar Jackson's running game a little bit, but I kind of agree that, again, the Colts just a complete mess. Like their offensive line's been horrible. Receiving corps has been horrible. Carson Wentz just hasn't had much that he can do in this situation. It's not like he's been awesome anyways. And their defense, their coverage has been horrible. This is the team that we thought was a playoff team, and they're looking. I feel like they're 1-3 right now, and they kind of feel that way.
I mean, there was a lot of things that they did really well last season that they haven't done. Like you said, the secondary is definitely taking a step back. The offense as a whole is taking a step back, and I think Frank Reich has really struggled with it so far. And I think it's just another case of a team that we're seeing that you can't not invest in the wide receiver room because, you talk about the injuries on offensive line. There is constantly injuries to teams' offensive lines because it's just the nature of the sport and what they're doing, which is basically bashing their heads against another human's head for 60 straight minutes. So obviously there's going to be injuries in the offensive line, and they had a clean bill of health with this offensive line last season, which helped, and they don't have a clean bill of health this season, and it's hurt. And I think that's something that you just kind of have to accept and say, hey, we should have got a wide receiver who's a little bit better. That being said, I think Wentz has been okay this season. Actually, I think he's been fine this season. I just, with his inability to move and the way the Ravens get after teams, I think that's going to be a huge problem.
So you at first said he's been okay, then you changed it to fine. I'm confused as to which one's the higher okay versus fine. Why did you say
fine?
Okay, wait, no, okay. Not okay. Fine. Fine is the one. Fine is the better one.
I would say fine's like the opposite of mediocre. So it's like okay is average, fine is slightly above average, and mediocre is slightly below average kind of thing.
Isn't mediocre by definition average?
I would say it's slightly. I don't think mediocre, like you could say an average quarterback and not say mediocre. I think mediocre is a little less endearing.
I feel like you probably use the term mediocre. People use the term mediocre as a negative, even though you're right. It does technically mean average.
Which is why I have it slightly below average.
I see. Okay. I'm interested in this grading system you have going, but that's good. All right. Yeah. So anything final thoughts on this, or should we move on?
I think we just about covered it. I'm interested to see if the Colts can figure some things out. So we'll see how this game goes.
All right. So then in that case, why don't you give me a game here?
I guess Lions at Vikings.
Yeah, I got to go to Vikings. I mean, after all the crap I talked about the Lions, I can't now pick them to win. I mean, the Lions aren't good. I think that the Vikings offense should have no problems against the Lions defense because no one's had problems against the Lions defense. Even the Ravens, a lot of that was self-inflicted. I think the Lions offense is actually okay and could maybe put up some points against the Vikings defense. That's kind of the way you win. Although I did think Minnesota played better even with all the Mayfield missed throws. They still also played better. So I would probably say that I like obviously the Vikings are the clear favorite here.
Yeah, I mean the Vikings should score 1,000,000 points, honestly. So
Hmm.
they should be able to throw all over this defense. I think they're going to throw all over this defense. I think the Lions are going to be able to move the ball a little bit against this team. Like I said, even though with Frank Ragnow, I think he's on the IR now, which kind of stinks. I still think the Lions are going to be able to move the ball a little bit. I just think that the Vikings are a very good offensive team, and the Lions are a very bad defensive team, and that's a recipe for disaster.
I like this comment by Daniel Snook. I would love to see Kyle's grading system as a college professor. Yeah, that would be good, Kyle.
Yeah, I got you. I'll do my quarterback ranking system in terms of grading. So
Yes.
there's like elite, great, good, fine, okay, mediocre, sucks.
Okay, there you go. That's the scale. So now we know. Uh, on that list, where would you put the Lions? The entire
uh
team.
Sucks.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm
All right.
excited about their sucky team, but it sucks.
Mhm. No, that's fair. They're a fun bad team. And we want to see it again. We all like the Lions. Like Luke Brown, I want to see the Lions win some games. Yeah, we all do. We all want to see the Lions win games. They're just not going to.
Yeah, I mean, th- I think we all just feel bad for Detroit at this point, right?
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
first you have to live in Detroit, and then you have to cheer for these teams. It's just like everything about Detroit. Hey, you got Cade Cunningham at least. You got that going for you.
Eminem.
He's a little washed now.
Oh wow, he's gonna write a diss track about you now, Kyle.
Oh God, here he
I,
comes.
I, I guess you're a big MGK fan. I see.
No, I am not.
Okay. I'm looking forward to Kyle. Gonna see you sometime. You just be listening to. I can't even think of an MGK song off the top. Wild Boy. That's one.
That's an MGK song.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about him. I
Okay.
don't. I don't listen to rap that's like post like 2010. I'll be honest.
Okay. There you go. Gotcha.
So, if anyone's curious about my music taste, there you go.
Yes. Join us next week for our music episode. I'm not a big music guy, Kyle.
What does that mean? Like you don't listen to it?
I listened to it. Was not a big music guy.
I guess that's fair. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just found out like literally like a month or two ago that there's a Lil Baby and a Da Baby, and they're not the same person. So
All right.
that was big news.
On the next episode of White Guys Trying to Talk Music, tune in next week for that. Until then, okay. So last game to give you. It's either my team or your team. I'll be generous, and we will. You know what? Actually, screw it. Just for the fun of it, let's each pick our own teams. I'll give you the Patriots, even though they were actually lower on my board.
Yeah, I think
Against the Texans, for those of you listening at home.
I had them second to last. I did have the Buccaneers and Mammals last. So
neither one of us are doing the way that we would have done this.
Yeah. So I mean, look, I think obviously I think the Patriots are going to win. Davis Mills is bad. Bill Belichick, even though I don't think he's necessarily a mastermind at like creating game plans to just mess with rookie quarterbacks. He does do well against rookie quarterbacks defensively. The corners have been good for the Patriots this season. The safeties have been good for the Patriots this season. We saw last week Tom Brady didn't want to mess with Devin McCourty much at all, basically. And I thought that was pretty interesting to see. I mean, the Texans stink. So, yeah, I mean, I think we're going to win. And if the Patriots, like I have said, and I think a lot of people have said, if the Patriots are going to make the playoffs, it starts with winning this game. We knew it was a tough start to the season with playing the Saints and the Buccaneers. Obviously, the Miami loss, looking at it now, stinks. But knowing you had to play the Saints and the Buccaneers, making the playoffs starts with this week. You have to win this game and get on a run. So they should blow out the Texans.
Yeah. How many interceptions does Mac Jones have to throw to give the Texans a chance to win?
3 or 4, I guess. I don't know.
Okay,
Yeah.
3. So 2 or less, and the Patriots are winning.
I would say so. I mean, some weird stuff I think has to happen. Deshaun Watson basically has to play for the Texans to win this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Davis Mills, that was just such an unfortunate. I mean, literally, like from the first, I think it was like a second throw, he goes to throw it, and just the ball just flies out of his hands on the backswing. It's just a tough night for poor Davis Mills.
Yeah, I mean he's put in a really tough situation. I've done the Davis Mills career, so it's been a rough road to here, and then I think he's basically going to last the year. It seems like, which is unfortunate. I think he's a nice developmental project, but being thrown into the situation. It's just he's going to have like the Dan Orlovsky stink to him that nobody wants to even give him a shot anymore.
Yeah, who was that guy for the? I'm trying to remember his name now. For the Browns when they went 0-16, the starting quarterback.
I
Completely
can't
blanked on
remember.
his.
Deshaun
Yes.
Kaiser.
Yeah, Kaiser. Kind of like that. Another one where it's second round pick, like wasn't too hyped up, and it gets unfortunately has to be the starting quarterback on a bad team, and it's like, yeah, of course that's not going to go well.
Yeah, and I think honestly, as we've continued to say and continue to see with a lot of this stuff, is that situation matters when it comes to these quarterbacks. I don't think there would be a lot of rookies. I don't think that any of the rookies that we've seen would go into Houston right now and be successful. So I
Hmm.
think it's a really tough situation. And I think it really matters like that you have a foundation for these guys.
Yeah, and what's especially funny is like usually that happens because the team like picks first overall. Texans did not pick in the first 2 rounds, so that
Yeah.
also real bad luck for poor Davis Mills. There, usually the benefit of being a later round pick is you don't have to go to the bad team. All right, final game battle in Florida. Mammals taking on the Buccaneers. Hey, Tom Brady has had his struggles playing the Dolphins in Florida. Could this maybe be a way? I'm picking Tampa Bay, of course. Maybe that's a way that the Dolphins can win.
Yeah, it's his former protege too, Jacoby Brissett. So that's another
That's right.
wrinkle.
Hmm.
Um,
Kind of
yeah,
revenge game, not really.
no, not really.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the mammals just stink, honestly. So, um, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of their offense. I think they're going to struggle. Um, yeah, I don't know what else to say. I feel like all Florida games should just be played in a hurricane. When it's Florida on Florida action, they should just play in like the worst weather possible.
Or how about like throw an alligator out there?
Yeah, yeah, make
Oh,
it really interesting.
I mean, the alligator can be tied to like a chain or something. Put it at midfield. There you go.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, honestly, with two of the Florida teams being like the 10 worst teams in football right now, they should just do something like they should just have alligators like basically play the teams.
Yeah, I think maybe the Florida Gators should play as instead of some of these teams the way it's been going for the Dolphins and the Jaguars. Weird though.
Gators aren't
Typically,
looking too good either.
okay, I'm not a big college guy, as you know. Yeah, weird though that you say these 2 of the 3 Florida teams are playing poor. I'm used to hearing all 3 Florida teams suck, so it's nice that at least one of us has climbed our way out of the basement.
Listen, you've won a Super Bowl already. Sooner or later, you're not going to be able to hang your hat on. I'm used to being bad. You're good
Oh,
now.
oh, I know it's fantastic. I love. It's this is I'm happy that this has happened.
Tampa is now the sports hub of the state of Florida.
So sports hub of the world, quite frankly, Kyle.
Ooh, that's
The
no.
past year has been. The past year it absolutely has been.
You guys in LA have really competed for it. I guess the Lightning put you over the top.
Yeah, I guess so. Because yeah, you could argue. I mean, I think 4 championship appearances and 3 wins. I mean, that's in a year. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So,
Hmm.
yeah, it's been an impressive run for Tampa. They're gonna win this game by a lot. So that's basically my analysis.
Yeah, well, we should probably talk about the actual game itself. I guess one interesting thing about this is the Dolphins' coverage unit against this good Tampa Bay receiving core, who hasn't played exactly as good as we've seen him. Tom Brady coming off not a great performance at New England, just kind of some weird stuff happening there. So I think that could be interesting. And also, hey, maybe you could get the passing game going here, Dolphins. Your receiving core hasn't necessarily lived up to the hype just yet. I know Will Fuller is now out, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers do not have any corners who can cover. So maybe Tampa Bay forced to play some cover 2. You run the ball a lot, limit some possessions, and maybe get a turnover or 2, which is kind of in their DNA. That's potentially the way you could steal this one.
Yeah, I mean the big thing is that they can't run the ball and they know it, so they're not going to try in this game. They're not even going to tempt Vea. So I think that's a
Right.
good thing.
Hmm.
I'm curious to see if they look at that Patriots tape though, and kind of what they were doing with Jacoby Myers. Maybe they could do some of that stuff with Jalen Waddle, who's better than Jacoby Myers, and he just attacking those blitz zones, and then he can make a play out of it. And that's kind of how you attack this defense. Because I just don't know if there's going to be time to throw downfield. And even with this Bucs secondary being hurt, I don't really trust Jacoby Brissett to throw the ball downfield. So I think that's something they can go at is kind of throw a guy like Waddle out in those short, quick routes, get the ball in his hands and just let him try and make a play out of it and kind of control the clock that way. but at the same time, they have to be willing to do something like that.
Yeah, it should be a tough one for the Mammals. Granted, there's been a lot of tough ones so far for the Mammals. So I like Luke Brown in chat. Sorry, Jackson, Bucs are garbage. Fenn's the easy win. And then says, but in reality, Dolphins are making me sad, bro. Why can't we have a competent offense? I'm sorry, Luke. I don't know. Maybe one day.
Probably not. So
probably not. No, I think that it's ever since Dan Marino left, it's over.
They should bring back the Wildcat for the rest of the season, honestly.
I thought you were going to say they should bring back Dan Marino.
Well, I mean, that honestly could work too.
Yeah,
I mean,
can't be worse.
They can just bring back Ronnie Brown and what was it? Cadillac Williams was the other guy.
Cadillac Williams for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Who was their other running back in that Wildcat system? Ronnie Brown was the big guy, though. Yeah, you can bring Ronnie Brown back. Run that.
Okay, well, there you go. Maybe that's right. Probably not. No, I don't think so. I think they're they're just going to not win many games this year.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah. I guess final question before we end this. 10.5. What do you say? You like the Buccaneers 10.5? Yes or no?
I mean, they've only really blown one team out this year, so I guess it's probably fair to say they're going to take it a little easy. And with that secondary being hurt, maybe there's a couple big play in Miami's cards because of, just guys' miscommunication in the secondary. They're able to attack you. I still think Waddle's a playmaker that if Tampa Bay's secondary makes a mistake, I think he could take advantage.
Yeah, I think I agree. All right, so that is our show. All right, a lot of fun stuff that we had. There was the, Kyle, looking forward to talking some baseball throughout here with, the Red Sox and Rays. Next time we will be talking, we will have seen 3 games. Maybe the series will be over then. Who knows?
It might be. The way your team's lined up, it might be. We'll see how it goes.
I know I'll just talk about how great Tampa Bay sports have been. I'm still nervous about the Rays. They too many times have they had great seasons only to lose in the first round. We also do have our pitcher pitching starting game 2 has like 14 career innings in the big leagues. The Rays are just a weird team.
Who's starting game 2?
Shane Baz.
Oh, okay. Who's game 1 for you guys? I haven't seen.
McClanahan.
Okay, he's good. Yeah, it's McClanahan against Erod for game 1, so that'll be interesting.
But the Rays are also weird. It's like our starting pitchers, like if they go like 4 innings, we're like, hey, great work. Like, way to save the bullpen.
That's true. I mean, you guys are, like I said, you traded your closer like halfway through the season because you had like 10 other guys who could throw 95.
Yeah, 95. I mean, a whole stable
100.
of guys who can throw 98, Kyle.
Yeah, no kidding. So I think you're fine.
Yes. All right. Well, it should be fun at the very least. So that's our show. Kyle, let them know where they can find us before we head out.
Yeah, make sure to follow us on Twitter. That's at Jackson Kruger on Twitter. Follow me at by Kyle Gronin on Twitter. And then make sure to follow the account page at On The Sideline JK on Twitter. That's at On The Sideline JK.
Yes. All right. We will be back next week. We should be back at our regular time, 9 o'clock. And also check out midnight Eastern right after the Sunday night game. We will be live recapping every game that happened. Always a fun time. And Kyle, any final thoughts before we go?
Should be a fun week. A lot of good games at the top of this slate. I think we were talking about that. I think there's 5 or 6 really competitive games starting with tomorrow night.
Yeah, should be fun. So again, everyone, thanks for watching. We do appreciate it. Until next time, have a good one.
Peace.